Welcome. I'm Bill Haney. Let's have a conversation. Today's guest brings a lot to us, some from further away, the west part of the state, and some from right near at hand in Independence Township, the Clarkson family farm. And we're going to talk about that and a number of other things with Nancy, who has been involved in a leadership way in many, many activities. She's an educator, she's a naturalist, teacher, and has been involved in numerous projects that come out of those interests. She received a first degree, was Western Michigan, am I correct?
Grand Valley was my bachelor. Yeah, Grand Valley State University.
One of my daughters went there.
Yeah.
And then you got a further degree from MSU?
Western was my master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
MSU was my ed specialist degree.
Ah, okay. All right. And you have continued in that capacity and brought some of that experience and education to bear right here at one of my favorite places, Clarkson Family Farm, which is just north of the village, and a hidden gem, really. And in fact, 2 years ago, we had Nancy's daughter, Chelsea O'Brien, who is the founder and the executive director of the farm. And that farm has opened the eyes, really, to thousands now of young boys and girls from the area, not just Clarkston, but from right around the township and many places in the county.
Yes.
And you continue to be involved in that as a counselor, and I seem to recall that you had a hand in these books.
Yes, yes.
Tell us about, there's two delightful books that I have for my grandkids, and another one that you have in the works. But
yes.
Tell us a bit about these books.
Okay, so to back up a little bit, Chelsea O'Brien, as you have suggested, is instrumental because she's the founder of Clarkston Family Farm. And, you know, just as all parents are, I am very supportive of my children and their endeavors. And so when we came upon that old Bayless farm, which was being, you know, we leased it from the school, from the school district. And she was saying to me, oh, I would really like to do this, but I really would like to have the funds. I don't really have the funds to start turning this into reality. My father had just passed away. He lived to be 94.
Wow.
He was, I always called him a Renaissance man. He was an artist as well. He owned his own advertising agency, and he left all of his 7 children a goodly amount of money. So I said, well, I've got my checkbook, and your grandfather would love to have you have this money. So she took that money, and it began, the reality began manifest, because the little market that we have there was actually just a stable house, a tack house, I think you call it, for the horses there. And that was the beginning. And then since then, as we built the curriculum, she and I would go to conferences together. I had my ed specialist degree. She and I both went to conferences for environmental education through the DNR. We went to the Academy of Natural Resources. We went to some of their conferences up there in classes and coursework. And so she and I worked collaboratively to work on curriculum. So this is where these books came about, because she gave me the fancy title of a curriculum director for the farm, and it is something that I work long and hard on, developing lesson plans for our teachers, but Chelsea and I do that together. But we wanted to have an instrument for instruction. And having had an art degree, I taught art for 12 years, Rockford Public Schools on the west side of the state. And I'm a certified art teacher. I'm a practicing artist as well. And so my suggestion to her was, let's do some children's books that we can actually use
As
with
a tool,
our instruction.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want me to talk about any one of them or both, or
Well, what we'll do is we will provide information, but this gives a sense of really how visually appealing. So the text is good.
yes.
It's delightful. But then throughout, you can see your fine hand in the art direction.
Yeah, let me see this one, for example. This is Kylea's garden. My youngest daughter is a neuroscientist. She's also a singer-songwriter.
Wow.
And when she had her first daughter, she sang this song to me, and I said, oh my goodness, I'm seeing this as she's singing. So this is actually a song that she is.
I've heard Chelsea sing that song.
It's wonderful. And this one really focuses on the wonders of a wildflower garden and the native species. And she talks about some of the natural and really exotic plants that you might find in your garden, everything from forget-me-nots to the blue flag irises. And we can use this at our farm to talk about. Chelsea's got beautiful gardens.
It's a terrific book. And
Just-
speaking of that, the people will have an opportunity on June the 10th.
June the 10th. Yep.
Yeah, we last year had a special event to inaugurate one of the other people who's contributed so much to this community.
Yes.
Wally Nisguski, who was an organic gardener and farmer among many other towns.
A birder.
A birder, yes, like you. I took Wally and Delia, his wonderful wife, to Point Pelee. And Wally saw his first warbler there and was
Changed his
smitten.
life.
It did.
It changed
He
his
fell
life.
in love. He
Yeah.
fell in love with a lot of things, but one of them was he became a very active birder and a very good one. And so, in order to keep his legacy going, we inaugurated an event which would provide funding so that young people could have the same experiences that Wally found so rewarding, and which tie in again with what you do with your interest in climate and the environment.
And climate.
And Wally did that, and so that will be part of the attraction on June 10th. It's going to be
Yep.
is it a brunch?
It's a garden party, and it's 11 to 2.
Yeah, 3
I
hours.
guess, yes,
Yeah.
you would call that a brunch, yes.
Yeah, well, last year it was a different kind of menu, which was terrific. It was food stations, and I was very impressed and surprised and delighted with how good the food was. But this is going to be even better than that, I understand.
And really, it's a garden party, and I love the fact that it is bringing in those natural farm to table type of things, you know, that we're all about at the farm, and we're going to have silent auction items.
A silent auction.
Yes,
yeah.
artists and other people around the community that want to donate.
They can donate items to be used in the silent auction.
Yes,
Right. And that
yes.
will help raise more funds so that more young kids, and frankly their parents, can experience the farm. And there's going to be music too. We had an orchestra.
I know we have Dave Murphy, who's on our board of directors, or our executive board. He's going to be playing in the band there that evening.
Well, it's going to be quite an event, and we will provide our viewers with information
Yes.
and more about it, how they can order tickets, make a reservation.
Right. And then it's all tied together too, Bill. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
the garden party, the birding, the climate,
It's-
teaching the kids. I think
Yeah.
if we can work at that level with the kids, learning about nature, loving nature, because you want to protect what you love. May I just show this book?
Please do.
This
yeah,
one
the
is
track-
one that
the
we
track
have
book, yeah.
just published too with my daughter Chelsea, who is, you know, the founder of Clarkson Family Farm. We use this as a text with the kids. It's a story and it's a song, and the kids just love singing along, learning the different tracks. And if you look through, you know, we actually have illustrations here
tracks that they
of the
make, yeah.
tracks, and we talk to the kids about that. And these are featuring 5 animals that are in Michigan that we focus on. There's many more, but we focus on the 5. And it's always so fun, Bill, at the end, where it's, what kind of track do you make?
Oh my gosh.
And then they all lift up their shoes and they
Yep.
show they get to it. But it's all about teaching the kids about nature, about respecting other things that share this planet with us.
So
And
you've
that-
done 2, but now you have a 3rd one.
Oh yeah, this one is also,
works.
we were so excited to start using this. We do something, we just finished it right now with our 3rd grade program with glass gem genetics. So we're teaching the kids about genetics in 3rd grade, having to do with seeds and corn. And so this book is it's actually a song that they sing, but it also talks about the different needs of plants that we have, and then they're actually
yes.
doing this. They're learning the difference between soil and compost and sand. They learn all these things.
Well, that's
and
wonderful.
The
that you-
experience.
I've been over there when at different stages.
Yes.
When the young people were
I'm
first. Yeah, and it is really something.
They
and
love it.
Kind of restores your faith and your hope in the future. And
It
many of
does.
those kids, as I recall, I spoke with a few of them last year,
Yes.
are, whether you would call them docents or not, or teachers, but they experienced the program themselves 8 or 10 years ago, and now come back in a different capacity.
They're hooked. They
Yeah.
are hooked. You know what else it does, Bill? There's a number of people that'll come that just don't seem to fit in the regular traditional classroom. But they will come out to the farm and they just blossom.
Yeah.
They will volunteer hours just working with the animals, just planting. They just feel so like they're a part of this world.
Well, it's I hope going to be less of a hidden gem, and I think
hope so.
Just since the years that I have been going there and experienced it, it's grown, and people are more and more aware. But you still find folks, you get talking about it, and they say, "Oh, is that what's at the northwest corner of M15 in Hubbard?"
That's
I've
right.
always wondered what that was. They said.
Yeah, that's
So it is a
right.
marvelous thing. Well, you've done that, but you've done at this. I'm not going to say at the same time, but it hasn't kept you from some of your other interests. One of which is the environment in general and climate.
Yes.
And doing the things that we need to do if we're going to be able to preserve this planet for
Yes.
the kids and the grandkids.
Yes, and you and I are both birders. I have a bumper sticker that said, "I love the earth, therefore I love birds."
Yeah.
Because we're trying to protect the earth for a number of reasons, and I love birds, so I'm trying to protect it for that. But Citizens Climate Lobby, and I'm just going to make a pitch here for that, it's a national, actually international
Right.
organization. You can get on citizenslobby.org. You can become a member, and there's no fees, nothing, but what it does is that you will then be able to access all the latest and greatest information, scientific information about climate change, new findings, everything from carbon emissions,
Right.
methane gases, or if you're more interested in water quality. I mean, it's such a great resource. And there's just so much that you can be part of. I'm more active in the group because I want more and more people to join. I'm from the west side of the state. But do you know, White Lake was our most recent chapter.
Oh, really?
And now we have a chapter in every single county in Michigan
That's
for
remarkable.
Citizens Climate Lobby. And like I said, it's a volunteer organization, all run for volunteers, by volunteers, for the people, for the world, and it's citizensclimatelobby.org.
Well, it's amazing, the importance of this, and yet it's not fully appreciated and understood, and there are facts. It's not a matter of opinion.
That's right, Bill.
These are facts.
That's right.
I helped inaugurate the Birders Club here,
Yes.
and we started, I think, 7 years ago, with just a handful of folks. Literally, there were 6 of us at lunch, at breakfast, really, at
Yes.
Brione's
Yes.
Cafe. And Bob McGowan, bless him, said, Bill, why don't we walk across the street after and talk with Steve Stroud at the Gateway, which is another delightful place in the area. And we did, and talked to Steve and asked if he would be receptive to having a get-together there of people that, well, they were interested in backyard birds.
Yes, backyard
Well, and that's what it
birds.
became. And
I
we,
love it.
we started with 18, then a month or two after that conversation. Our mailing list now is 225.
I love it.
And we get sometimes 60, 70 people, sometimes 40 or 50 at Wint Nature Center, which again, I
Lovely.
tip the hat to the
Lovely.
Wints who underwrote that and created it. And by the way, to round that out, there have been donations made for a bench and for other areas out at Wint for Wally Nisguski
Yes.
in his name and memory. So these things really feed together, as does nature itself, as you're pointing out, because with birds, it's not really an option. If we don't have birds, we don't have life. And people say, well, how do you get to that?
Exactly.
Well, there are these things called insects, which would explode. But there are many other connections. But you're right, birds are imperiled. We had, 10 years ago, we had 11 billion birds in North America. Now we have 8. And many more are on the endangered
Yes.
species list. So it really isn't a matter of choice. You can pretend to be indifferent about it, but it's serious business.
It is.
And,
It is very.
because well, the canary and the coal mine,
Yes,
to use
exactly.
another bird analogy or metaphor.
Today, this morning, we were working with 3rd graders with frogs. Talk about another
Yeah,
species
you're right.
that helps us with knowing about our health of the planet.
Yes.
And the importance. So I was teaching the kids, you can go on frogwatch.com. You can be citizen scientists. Let's learn the calls. Let's listen to nature. And these are all the wonderful things that we're doing at the farm with our books. You know, it's all connected, Bill. You're right. It's
Well, and you
interconnected.
have to me, I've been doing books for 57 years.
Yes.
And obviously I'm a true believer as far as books go. But book industry, talk about an imperiled area. People don't read books like they used to. But yet, if we don't have them, because books are really kind of the gateway drug for getting into other media forms, television, radio, and all others. So if somebody like you and Chelsea does not undertake projects like this,
Yes.
synthesizing the story with the visuals, the artwork, and getting it preserved for posterity, as well as for regular use. And as I think you said, it is a tool.
It is.
that you can use, or a key if you want to use another, to open the door for kids.
Yes, and because they're art books, they're also song, so we try to incorporate music, all the different ways of learning.
Right.
So music and the visual, taste. We had kids today making their own salsa.
Really?
Some didn't even know what it was, but we had all the ingredients and they could choose. So there's taste and touch. We've got the farm animals there, talk about the difference of that. And then smells, of course, when we're doing we have a pizza garden, so they're going to be making their own pizza. And they're experiencing life to the fullest. That's
And they're
big
doing
thing.
it also in I think, a very healthy way with
Yes.
other kids and team efforts. It's not a
Good
solo
point.
thing.
Yes, good point.
I've observed that and you have kids who are maybe a year or two older and are back, and they then are helping to teach the youngers. So the whole atmosphere out at the farm is delightful. You mentioned salsa, and one of the things I discovered was how much local produce
Thank you.
and products
Yes.
that are available there.
Yes,
at the
we
farm.
really want to support the local
Yeah.
farmers and organic farmers. We have beekeepers. We also have people that produce amazing baked goods.
Amazing what?
Baked goods.
Oh,
my
they are
goodness.
good.
Oh, they're
Yeah,
so good.
they're awesome.
And the market is open on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays to the general public. And people that are coming in for the first time are just amazed at the quality and the richness of the foods. But we
Wow.
also support the artisans too in the
Yes,
community.
some of the murals and the
yes.
posters that are done
Yes.
are really terrific.
Yeah, and I would like to tell you the mural was an idea, again, as a teaching tool. I always say teaching tool, you could say a key. We're teaching pollinators. So Chelsea and I talked about this huge, large space on the side of the barn. Let's make it a pollinator mural.
Yep.
And so it becomes a resource for us. And our couple new things I'll just mention, and I'll call out to any artists in the area. We're hopefully going to be working in collaboration with the Cultural Fine Arts and maybe possibly with the artists at the high school. For future projects, we're going to do a storybook mural, and she has a storybook garden all set out with the mural there. And then on the back face of one of the barns, we're going to just feature just some brightly colored murals of unique design that the kids will come up with. That's another thing. We really want to empower
Well, it
the
unlocks
children.
creativity.
Yes, we want to empower them so maybe get some high school kids involved. The scouts in the area have been amazing.
Well,
with our
one more
farm.
thing too, that it's like a cascade of
Yes.
ideas. Once you start something,
Thank you.
there are things that develop that you could not have predicted.
Yes.
One of which will be also featured at the June 10th
Yes.
event, and that is the winners of the Wally Essay Contest.
Yes, could you talk a little bit about
Well,
that?
and that was, again, it just seemed natural to one of our birder members, Larry Kodowski and Sylvia Medlin, who are neighbors of mine not far away up on Sashabaw. And they are educators. And Larry just conceived of this idea of, well, having children write about how birds enrich their lives, local birds.
Perfect.
So you could not do this with AI and have it spit out an essay for you. It had
That's
to be
true.
local birds.
Yes.
So he inaugurated this with the cooperation of Chelsea and Delia Nizguski and others who participated in this. And the contest was held. The recipients have been identified, haven't been announced yet.
Okay.
But will be, and then the winners will be at the event on June 10th and will be introduced as winners of the first Wally essay contest.
That's awesome.
So a lot of things have sprung forth, like seeds well planted in
That's
rich
right.
soil.
The flowers of tomorrow.
Yeah, well put. And on that note, let me just say, it's been a delight to have you here.
Thank you.
What you have done, what you've contributed to directly and then indirectly is having and will have a lasting impact, a very important one in the lives of our community in general,
Thank you.
but then with countless young people. So we will provide that information about the upcoming June 10th event and ways that you can get more information and in fact could order copies of these books
Yes.
directly. And so we'll provide that for our viewers.
Good.
And I want to invite our viewers to pass the word along on some of these to their friends and neighbors, and we hope to see you on June 10th. And I hope to see you again for another conversation with Bill. Thanks for joining us today.